Okay, here is how you use the essay organizers to make your life easier. The first organizer just kind of shows you a general outline of the essay structure. I'm not going to write anything on it. It just like reminds me what should go in my intro, body, and conclusion, so I can kind of see a general idea of like what the essay is going to look like as a whole. Okay, but I'm not going to write anything on it. I am going to start by writing my thesis. Step 1. Decide on the topic of the literary work, or passage, scene, etc. from a work. Choose an abstract concept like unrequited love, freedom, abuse, jealousy, self-pity, or revenge that the work explores. Then finish this sentence. The genre, title by author/playwright is about or explores topic/abstract concept. So I'm actually going to be writing my thesis about the short story Girl by Jamaica Kincaid, but you might be writing yours about the play Antigone by Sophocles, right? So if you were doing this on Antigone, I'm going to go ahead and write here in pencil in case I need to erase anything or, revise as I go. The play Antigone. I'm going to underline Antigone because it's the title of a play by Sophocles, is about or explores topic/abstract concept. So the prompt talked about 3 different things, right? It said power, authority, and or obedience. So you could pick one of those here, or 2 of those here, or 3 of those here. Let's say maybe, I don't know, you wanted to write your essay about power, you could write power there. But I'm not writing this about Antigone. So let me rewrite this so that it's about the short story Girl by Jamaica Kincaid. Okay, so the short story Girl, and it's a short story, so I'm going to put it in quotation marks. But again, if it were a play or novel, I would underline it, by Jamaica Kincaid is about or explores, I think I want to write this about gender roles. And it's got some examples here of what it might end up looking like, right? So when we move on to step 2, we're going to keep what we wrote for step 1 and then just like add in a little bit more as we go. So step 2 says, now you need to state what the literary work expresses about the topic. If a poem is about jealousy, what idea does it express about that concept? Finish by inserting a clause to complete your sentence. The genre, title by author/playwright is about or explores topic/abstract concept and reveals, illustrates, demonstrates, dramatizes that or how. Opinion statement about topic. So again, I'm going to keep what I wrote in step 1, the short story Girl by Jamaica Kincaid is about gender roles and reveals, illustrates, demonstrates, dramatizes that or how. So this is where if I had my evidence chart from the Socratic seminar, I would probably just yoink something that I wrote that I thought was like a really strong claim for that, because remember, we're working on writing our thesis here, and the thesis is like this big umbrella that covers your whole essay, right? That's what you're proving with this essay as a whole. I don't actually have an evidence chart with me right now, so I'm just going to come up with something off the top of my head. It reveals that mothers pass down restrictive gender roles to their daughters because of their own fears. Maybe, I can always come back and revise it later. And again, it's got some examples for how that might turn out. Okay, let's flip the page to move to step 3. So again, we're going to keep what we wrote for step 2, but just add in more. Step 3, since almost every literary analysis prompt asks you to analyze how the author or playwright reveals whatever it is you think they're revealing, let's add in something about that too. The short story Girl by Jamaica Kincaid uses literary devices, plot elements, characters, and/or critical lenses on which you'll be focusing. I'm going to leave that blank for just a second to explore or dramatize. I said gender roles. And reveals, illustrates, demonstrates, dramatizes that or how. What did I say? I said mothers pass down restrictive gender roles to their daughters because of their own fears. Mothers pass down restrictive gender roles to their daughters because of their own fears. Actually, I want to reword that. I don't like the way that it's sounding. I like the idea, but I kind of want to reword it a little bit. So let's say I'm going to erase it with my handy dandy eraser here. Isn't it cute? It's a little Christmas tree. That it reveals that it is because of their own fear remembered from childhood that mothers perpetuate restrictive gender roles by passing them down to their daughters. Okay, so now I have to decide how it is that Jamaica Kincaid reveals that, right? Like, what is it that she's doing in, like, how does she reveal this? I think that I want to organize my body paragraphs chronologically, like beginning, middle, end, right? So I'm going to say something like uses, I may just name a couple of literary devices that I think I'm going to end up talking about in my, like when it comes to my evidence. So I think I'm going to name some literary devices here. Uses an unusual format. No, let's make it even easier than that. Uses one long, complex sentence written in dual perspectives. Okay, so now it says the short story Girl by Jamaica Kincaid uses one long complex sentence written in dual perspectives to explore or dramatize gender roles and reveals, illustrates, demonstrates, dramatizes that or how it is because of their own fear remembered from childhood that mothers perpetuate restrictive gender roles by passing them down to their daughters. So again, it has some examples here. Step 4, I'm just literally going to copy down what I wrote from step 3 into the box for step 4, but like I'm going to pick, right? To explore or dramatize? No, we're just going to go with explore now. And here it says reveals, illustrates, demonstrates, dramatizes. I'm just going to go with reveals. And reveals that or how, I'm going to go with that. Okay, so I'm going to copy this down here for step 4. Step 4, write your entire thesis here. The short story Girl by Jamaica Kincaid uses one long, complex sentence written in dual perspectives to explore gender roles. It says, and reveals, I'm actually going to stick a semicolon here and say ultimately, so I'm making slight revisions here. Ultimately, the story reveals that it is because of their own fear remembered from childhood that mothers perpetuate restrictive gender roles by passing them down to their daughters. Boom, I've got a thesis. So again, to look back over the steps here, we went from step 1, where I wrote, the short story Girl by Jamaica Kincaid is about or explores gender roles. Then we moved to step 2. The short story Girl by Jamaica Kincaid is about or explores gender roles and reveals, illustrates, demonstrates, dramatizes that or how mothers pass down restrictive gender roles to their daughters because of their own fears. Then we moved to step 3. The short story Girl by Jamaica Kincaid uses one long, complex sentence written in dual perspectives to explore gender roles and reveals that it is because of their own fear remembered from childhood that mothers perpetuate restrictive gender roles by passing them down to their daughters. And then finally, we end up with step 4. The short story Girl by Jamaica Kincaid uses one long, complex sentence written in dual perspectives to explore gender roles. Ultimately, the story reveals that it is because of their own fear, remembered from childhood, that mothers perpetuate restrictive gender roles by passing them down to their daughters. And that's how you fill out the thesis worksheet.